Let's talk oil and gas now. 5 years of oil production. Is it reflecting? Are you feeling it? Is it making any difference at all? I don't know if you ask me, but I guess my guests would know because they work with the Africa Center for Energy Policy and they've got a lot of answers. Nana Owusu Setro is Communications Manager of ACEP and Linda Ahono is Policy Analyst also with ACEP. Good morning.
Good morning.
So how do we measure, Linda, how do we know the impact that the oil fine has brought to Ghana, for instance?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question that you just put across. So already 5 years is here with us. We've started oil production in Ghana. And 5 years down the lane, we have produced over about 130 million barrels of oil. And government has already received about $3 billion in petroleum revenue. So it's a good question to evaluate what has been the impact. Have Ghanaians received enough benefits from this? And a good way to measure it is to take a good look at the link between oil wealth and then development. And the good link between oil wealth and development has to do with governance. And that is the more reason why ACEP has decided to put together a summit, the Africa Oil Governance Summit, to take a look at these deliberations.
So that's where we'll find the answers?
Definitely. I mean, the answers, like I just mentioned earlier, hinges mainly on good governance. And so let us have a platform where we'll bring together stakeholders and then citizens to deliberate on these issues. And that's where I bring in the summit.
Okay. So how is it going to be? Are we measuring, are the people on the ground going to be telling us about whether they feel the impact or not? Is that the plan? And also?
Yeah, thank you, Mama V, and thank you for this opportunity. You know, the summit itself is a platform that is bringing together stakeholders to dialogue. And the key word here is dialogue. And let's be very clear, it's a governance summit. You know, unlike other summits that people or institutions do have, it's all business and corporate. But with this very summit, the uniqueness is on governance. So what we are doing is we are bringing stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, what I mean by that is civil society organizations, we are bringing academia, we are bringing people from industry, and of course we are bringing people from the government institutions like Ministry of Petroleum and all the other sectors that matter within the energy framework. So that is how it's going to be like. We are going to build consensus. We are going to find out the best practices and, of course, be able to implement those best practices, because we believe that if we get the governance aspects of the oil production right, then we can get everything else right.
I don't know if you follow through Ghana Connect on Joy FM on Friday with Evans Mensah and Joseph Opoku-Gapo. Joseph in Tamale trying to speak to the people, and then Evans at the UPSA. Is it fair to say that we're all not united in terms of the benefits? We've got different views. People will tell you different things, Linda.
Definitely. I mean, people do have different opinions and people do see things differently. But one thing that should be common and to run through is, I mean, if you feel the impact of something, the variation may be due to, you know, how much you feel, but then there should be a common ground somewhere. And usually when you have to find out from people what has the impact been, in order to measure and to have a fair idea of the impact, it's usually to take what the majority is saying, but not just majority based on numbers. You have to also look at from which area they are coming from, because people with the professional expertise will see it differently. People who have, let's say, the ordinary citizen going to the marketplace to buy things will also see it differently. But all in all, it's important to note that the benefit has been progressive. You wouldn't just find it at one time, all in all. It is progressive. The most important thing is, as you measure the progress of it, it's important to know where you started from and where you're going. And as you do that, you need to find out, okay, could things have been different if we had done it this way? If we had put in place these structures, would we have seen different results? Because, I mean, there's an old adage that says you can't expect the same things the same way if you keep doing the same way.
Sure.
So if you change it a bit and balance it somewhere, would it change? And that's very important as you analyze.
Are we copying what some other countries are doing? Because we're not the first to find oil or gas in Africa. Are we copying, for instance? Are we learning from Nigeria, would you say, from where you sit?
Yeah, I think we are learning. And not only from Nigeria, but also from other countries who have been able to make a huge footprint in the petroleum industry. Because one common thing, and that is even also a part of what we'll be discussing with the summit, has to do with this issue of the paradox of plenty. Why is it that most countries which are rich in natural resources tend to be poor at the end of the day than other countries who are not? And that is a very important factor. It's important that Ghana was, I should say that now we are kind of moving from that phase where we used to be a new oil producer to join the older ones. And so we are kind of at a crossroad. And it's important that at this stage we do learn from other people who have been able to, we learn from the mistakes of those who have made certain mistakes, and then we learn from that, we pick the lessons, improve upon it, and then we keep going. We also need to learn from those who have been able to do better in terms of their management of their oil wealth, puts in place the policies, adopts their policies as well, the regulations and the needed legislations in order to put the nation forward.
So Nana Osei-Sachwe, who would be there and how is it going to happen and when?
Yeah, the summit is happening at the Labadi Beach Hotel, their conference room. You have the likes of Honorable Emmanuel Kofi Boa Ama, the Minister of Petroleum. You have Dr. Joyce Ayi. You have experts from Trinidad and Tobago like Tony Paul. You have, of course, our own Executive Director, Dr. Mohamed Amin, and you have other people within the oil and gas industry coming as well. It's going to be structured in a panel sort of discussion. You have 3 experts on the panel together with the chair. So then you have visually 4 people on a stage, or 4 people per panel, and there will be an open discussion. They will share their views from different perspectives from different countries, and then they will engage the audience to also participate in that regard. And then we collectively, at the end, it's a 2-day summit anyway. It's on the 23rd and 24th. So it's next week Thursday, Monday, and then next week Tuesday. Okay. Yeah. So once we are done, there will be a communique to the media, for the media to also have a hard copy of whatever has been put together
Is government, is there provision, is the Ministry of Petroleum, for instance, going to work with the outcome of this?
I mean, working with the outcome, we as an organization, if not a think tank, what we are doing is we are putting together this summit to, of course, build consensus and then hope that government will work with it. As to whether they will work with it is something that we have to continue to pursue the agenda of advocacy and lobbying them to be able to adopt these best practices. Because, to be very honest, like I did say, I mean, if you don't get the governance aspect right, then all other things in terms of corporateness, in terms of business, you're not going to get it right. And I think that's one thing that we are suffering, not only in Ghana, but most African oil-producing countries. That's what they are suffering from.
All right, Linda, any last words you want to share before we say goodbye to you?
Okay, the last thing I would say, just to add to what Nana has said, is that as we embark on this 2-day summit, we are expecting a deeper insight into the challenges that Africa faces in managing its oil wealth. And then we are also expecting massive collaboration between the governments, between CSOs, and then the general citizenry to push forward all that we need in order for Africa to enjoy its oil wealth. Yeah.
All right, Nana.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, of course, a big thank you to our sponsors. If you allow me, I mean, our main sponsors, GOGIC and UK Aid, and our supporting sponsors, GIZ, IBIS, and Oxfam. And we are very happy that the Ministry of Petroleum has also endorsed this summit, which makes it very unique.
All right, thank you very much for your time. We wish you the best with this summit. Stay with us.